to every GM and every coach and every player and every fan, like, you are not immune to propaganda. You are not immune to marketing. Like, the general narrative for over a decade being NA sucks, NA has no players, NA has no talent, has affected everyone's brain. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Salt Mine. It's been a while, and therefore, I gotta go and check what episode we're on.
You know what? That's valid. Usually I used to flame you for messing up the number.
When we did it every week, you could flame me, but
yeah, no, it's different now.
yeah,
sure.
now we've had breaks. Now we got other stuff going on. This is season 7, episode 3. So, yeah, been a light salt mine spring, and that is what leads us to this episode, because this is going to basically be a bit of a housekeeping episode. We are going to catch up on all the big storylines, all the big dramas, all the big controversies from the split so far, and we're going to get it all out of our systems. And then when we do season awards and all-star teams and playoff preview in like a week and a half, we'll have it out of our system, and we won't have to discuss the things there. So hopefully not going to be too long here, but going to at least get our thoughts out there on some of the big storylines from the season. I'm Gordo. I'm joined by Slayer and Quax. How are you guys doing? How's the season been?
You know, it's had its ups and downs. It's had its ups and downs. As I feel every NACL split has had. And I'm not really even talking about the drama stuff. I'm actually not talking about that. I'm talking about like team performances. I'm sure a lot of our power rankings would look a little silly right about now. Well, actually, you know what? I actually think my power rankings might look a little bit better than some of your guys's, but that's only because I put CCG 5th, and I guess they're very likely to end 4th. So that makes me feel a little bit better.
No,
but,
I mean, just the way that the teams are ordered, I think no one would have predicted this, and I think that like some teams have had like it feels like a lot of teams this NACL season have been very streaky, right? Like there have been like really solid like weak performances, and then the next week it'll just completely get blown up. So it's felt very back and forth for a lot of teams, which I mean admittedly makes me really excited for playoffs, because then I feel like it is just like, oh my god, who's actually going to take it. The top of the table is kind of, in my opinion, just Maryville and Energy. They seem like they are above everybody else pretty significantly, but then like below that is a really fun topic, and that's kind of what we discussed when we did power rankings, right? We were like, we are under the impression we're pretty sure of who like the top 3 teams are going to be, and we're pretty sure who the bottom teams are going to be. That middle chunk though is like where we're uncertain, and I still think that holds up, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I'm looking back on the rankings. I'm not gonna lie. I think with me being the lowest on Blue Otter at 7 and me being the highest on Winthrop at 5, I'm looking pretty good, honestly.
yeah, I guess that's a good
my power rankings.
Wasn't I the only one that put Energy number 1?
Yes, you were.
Or
yes,
yep.
You were.
No. Was it not?
You
me?
had Conviction number 1.
Oh, that's looking awesome. Never mind.
I mean, I did too. I think TDS did as well, unless TDS had Maryville. I trolled TDS somewhere because I have TDS is putting both Maryville and Conviction in second, and there's no way that's true. So, but now I'd have to go back to the episode and re-listen to where he actually put Maryville, so I'm not going to do that.
I underestimated Maryville a little bit, if I'm giving myself some criticism.
I had the number 2. I'm feeling pretty good about that one too.
I was not familiar with Obstinatus's game, and I should have been privy to that. I mean, I think he has been like a top 2 support in the league next to Spica this split.
He's the best support, man.
I think he's exceeded my expectations, and I still have.
He's definitely exceeded my expectations. Maybe a bit of a hot take, but I feel like Spica's maybe number 1 for me. Obstinatus, it's 1A and 1B though. I don't know. Yeah. I just think Spica's been more instrumental to the team.
I'm very interested in discussing Spica, honestly. So, But we'll
Oh,
get
yeah.
there. Let's go big topics first because we want to try to squeeze this in under an hour. We have an LPL meeting to pull back the curtain here for a moment that I would like to be able to make it to because I have a show tomorrow night. Hopefully episode's out by then. If so, IG versus NIP. Got to be on LPL English tomorrow.
Hey,
Anyway,
I mean,
that's a
could be
fun one.
could be good.
could be good.
Probably not. IG suck.
IG do suck a little bit. Anyway, let's talk about the conviction roster changes first. I feel like that's the more recent topic. I feel like the Citadel drama has died down a little bit, so we can revive it from the grave. We can necromancy it back up.
I was gonna say the salt mine will pull it back up. We have so much pull.
I think I promised a few too many people individually, like personally, that we would give a more in-depth take on it at some point, and now I'm going to be made a liar if we don't do it. So we will talk about it.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be topic number one. Topic number one is going to be the conviction roster moves. So for those either looking back in the future or who don't actually watch the NACL and only watch this show, Conviction has made a change in the bottom lane. They have removed Meech and Breezy from the roster in what appears to be pretty unceremonious fashion, as has led to a lot of discourse, and have replaced them with Tactical and Bounty. We could start anywhere here. We could start with the new players. We could start with the old players. Maybe the old player is the best place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll let the NACL rep talk first.
Hey man, we're the only NACL podcast running, okay, dude? So you can
True.
basically claim NACL rep that way. So I'm also like the big Breezy guy, right? So the first thing I will say is I expected better play this split out of Breezy. That's the first thing I'll say. However, do I think he played so bad that he needed to be bench cut, whatever this is? Absolutely not. He was still probably like, what, a top half support in the league, right? I probably consider him like around like the five spot, maybe. Like a couple guys would go in front of him, but not the majority. I definitely think Meech, played a bit worse. But I don't know what the exact logic is. I have not spoken to anybody within the decision-making process of this. But everything we have been hearing, it sounds like this might be kind of a scapegoat situation. Or like this is sort of this half of the team wanted this to happen, or like team goes boo. Like it sounded like they kind of got forced out, is what I'm trying to say, right? And I think that is very unfair. But I also don't have access to what team communication was like, all this stuff. I think this is just kind of a lose-lose scenario for everybody, is what this really felt like. Yeah, so that's my opinion on the players that have exited. I think they did not play as well as we expected them to. Meech was a bit of a wild card because he's coming back, but Breezy didn't play as well as I expected to. But I still think that, these guys, Breezy, most part, played well enough to, not be benched. And it seems like I think there's something more at play that a lot of us don't know about this switch. It still disappoints me, though. I don't think Breezy should not be playing NACL as a support.
No, I agree. I think that Breezy is too good not to be in tier 2, if I'm being honest with myself. Like, on CCG last year, like, he was the standout player for me in the summer split. Like, I was super impressed with what he was able to bring to the table. I do find it funny, Slayer, how you worded that, because it definitely feels like a scapegoat situation. I think that if the team is not functioning in a way where they can reasonably communicate with one, like if one team is like, this team needs to go, or like there's going to be issues, then I already feel like that points to there being issues with the team. And so like, if that's the case, then keeping the roster together is obviously unhealthy, right? Because like if half the team just hates their life playing with half of the other players, then like that is not good camaraderie at all. But I think the solution from Conviction came really like it just felt super rushed, and like it felt like it was just abided by really quickly. I heard about this like a little bit before it happened, but when I say a little bit, I mean very little time. So
Like less than a week, yeah.
right, like literally. So like the time frame from when it was like a rumor to like confirmed was very short. And I do think that that is really concerning, right? When like when we're not even hearing about like issues on a team internally, which, you know, obviously that is like internal stuff. But like so like I give it a little bit of grace, but then like when you have that and then you have a week between that and then just 2 players get wiped out, and as well as when you're now starting to get to the point where you want to qualify for playoffs, this just all felt like really shitty timing. Is what I'm basically trying to get at. Like that is the thing that really makes me scratch my head, is the timing of it all, because like this feels like the moment where you shouldn't be making those substitutions.
Yeah, that's kind of so on the scapegoat point, like I think I almost don't like that term because it feels more.
It feels like it's kind of true though. Like
Yeah, it just feels so like taking into account everything that you're saying about how you can have a team where nobody is like distinctly underperforming in game so badly that they need to be replaced, but that the vibes or the communication or the shot calling are just not getting there to such a
yeah.
degree that you feel like a change needs to be made. Maybe it doesn't even really matter what change, but there needs to be a change. Like, scapegoat feels like such a negative term that like carries with it a little baggage that might not necessarily be there, and it may be more of a like we just needed to make a change for its own sake situation than I feel like the word scapegoat kind of implies like everybody just says like, oh, it's Breezy's fault, Breezy sucks, get this guy off the team, and it might not be that like explicit, or that there might not be that much blame being assigned that
maybe
I feel like is implied, is all that I'm saying. I'm not
Yeah.
saying you guys are implying that or anything. That's just I agree that there can be a situation where you need to make a change, even if it might not necessarily mean that like everybody hates playing with these guys or everybody thinks these guys suck. That said, I kind of agree that, first of all, what are the odds that this really works, guys? Like, are you really gonna bring Tactical Cold off the couch and Bounty in here? Bounty's obviously like in form. He's been playing ACL. He's been playing CLOL.
CLOL, yeah.
But Tactical's off the couch. And like these top teams are just good. And you're not really playing for that much because it's spring. So I'm just surprised that they make this change here and now.
Right, exactly.
Rather than
Instead
wait
of
for the
between
break between splits, because it feels like the likelihood that this works is very low. And yeah, I get that this team has like promotion aspirations, so they're going to replace like players that are just like B level and try to, they want to beat DSG and take the LCS spot. You don't build a roster like this unless that's your goal.
Yeah.
So I get that they want to, upgrade anywhere possible. I'm just surprised that they don't just wait for the mid-season break and see if they can, pluck some overperformers from some other rosters.
And to his credit, I suppose, sorry, Slayer, but like,
go ahead.
I feel like Bounty being dropped in here, to be honest with you, like this is a pretty good test for him. Like these are like, regardless of what the internal situation is with the team, on paper, this is still a good roster. So you now as a rookie being dropped in with these players, like is really valuable in my opinion. And like, so I think that if there
Rookie's
was
like
one
a strong
support
word for
player,
Bounty. Like Bounty played CB Law,
right.
Yeah.
No, and like, okay, yeah, that's fair. But I think Bounty is a really good support. Like I felt like him, All Calamity, and Redemption like ran the support pool in tier 3 last year, especially toward the latter half. Like Bounty has always been a player that has really impressed me. And this is a roster where I think he can really shine. So like even if the internal situation with the team isn't good, at the very least, I'm happy that he's getting a shot. I wish that it didn't come at the detriment of having to bench Breezy, but you
there
play
are
with the
worse
cards
supports in the league for sure. Yeah,
there certainly are.
Yeah, I do want to say, on the bounty point, I mean, former CB lull aside, this guy definitely deserves to be an NACL. I mean, part of me wants to like inherently blame it on import status, but that doesn't even make sense. Like, I don't think there's a team that could have taken him that is having import slot issues. So I don't even think it's the import slot. And he's definitely the odd man out as a guy who won fall ACL last split, which I think we're at the point in the history of the NACL where if you win fall ACL, you should probably just be on an NACL team. And that's true for the other 5 guys who are on that 6-man Dorado White Wasp
I'm
roster.
so glad we've gotten to that point, by the way.
Yeah.
I
know,
agree.
right?
Yeah, like the level of NACL
specifically
participation in fall ACL is like,
fall
if you're
ACL.
winning that league, you should just be in the NACL. So Bounty was the odd man out from that Dorado White team. Everybody else, including both of their top laners, are in the NACL right now. So it was weird for him to not be here. That said, though, I mean, it's like he's not a miracle worker, and I think their loss to NRG with their first game back kind of shows that. Like, they were fine. I don't think it's crazy that Tactical off the couch playing with a guy he's never played with before, is vulnerable to getting blasted by a Speak in Italy support. I think it's not crazy that happened, and it just doesn't feel like this is going to work. Like, if working means like winning the split or being top 2, I would be surprised if they get there.
Yeah, I would be shocked. I guess I'll backpedal a little bit. I guess the way that I was framing using the phrase scapegoat is in the idea that like this one decision, scapegoat covers for multiple problems. Like, I guess from a problem standpoint is how I was thinking about scapegoating. It's
I think because there's totally valid ways to use it. That's just my first thought.
No, that was a valid point. Because for me, like, I guess I think like getting to a change like when a change like this happens, one of my first thoughts is that this is a stain on coaching. Because I guess the reason you have coaches here is to like keep a roster together as 5, right? Like, your main role is to like, you are like parenting, I guess, in a way, right? Where it's like, all right, I've got to, even if there's internal fighting.
I've seen multiple coaches describe it as babysitting, so you're not super far off.
Yeah, or like babysitting. So like, if you're having to make a mid-season change like this because like team dynamics have gone this bad, like that's somewhat of a coaching problem. First of all, I also do think like conviction struggles. It was not necessarily it was never a clear bottom lane problem to me. It wasn't like, oh, Meech and Breezy are getting blasted, like they can't win with them. I thought Sniper has been maybe the most disappointing player across the entire roster this split, personally. So he's still there. You obviously weren't going to move Tomio and Insanity, even though I think they have had their most suspect split. We've seen them together as well. So there was a lot of problems. And it seems
everyone, I think, we expected this conviction. I mean, you guys expected this conviction roster to be first. And like on paper, I think that is a fair assessment. Like, you've got a former LCS player, right? You've technically got like 3 former LCS players.
4
and like
with Mash or with Meech, sorry.
With me? Okay. Yeah. You're right. So like, this should be a top tier team. And I feel like, you compare Insanity and Tomio to like last split on Luminosity, and it's like no contest. Like, I think that maybe as like even as a Confluence, they don't feel as strong. Like, they were by far the best mid jungle duo in my opinion in summer of last year. And I do not think we have seen that same strength be exemplified over the course of this split. Sniper as well is a bit of a confusing player to me. I will agree with you in that I think that he is one of the more disappointing players across the NACL, just relative to the expectations that we had for him going into the split. One of the reasons why I'm so disappointed, though, is because I think that the goal for like LCS players who are now in NACL and want to return to that level should be different than players who initially join the NACL, right? Like, when you initially join the NACL, the idea is to get your style out there. Like, who are you as a player? What are you good at? What do you maybe have to work on? And like introducing yourself to a potential broader audience. But when you're in, say, like Sniper's position, where you were in a tier 1 scene and now you're in a tier 2 scene, most of the time, it feels like there are reasons for that, right? Sometimes that's not always the case, right? Like sometimes, LCS players just don't get spots when they very clearly should. Take a look at like Dokla, for example, for like a good example of that. But like to me, everyone criticized Sniper's laning phase, right? Like when he was in the LCS, a lot of people criticized his laning phase. They criticized his champion pool. And while I do think that he has shown good aspects of both of those, the overwhelming opinion is that he still struggles in that regard, and those have been the struggles. And then when I see him lock in things like the Riven, I just kind of roll my eyes because even if he wins, like this isn't what I'm looking for from him. I know he can play Riven. I know he can dominate on this champion. He's been able to dominate on this champion since he made like the front page of Reddit being a 13-year-old who hit Challenger for the first time. I know this Riven OTP can play Riven. What I know he struggles at are those two aspects that I mentioned. And the fact that we haven't really seen that worked on to a degree that I would have liked is the concerning part for me. And frankly, the most concerning part for a lot of these conviction players who are looking to return to tier 1 and have holes potentially in their gameplay that are preventing them from doing that they're not fixing and instead are relying on things that have always allowed them to be successful in tier 2, but have been maybe liabilities in tier 1.
Yeah, I think it's a great assessment.
I think that's fair. I think I am slightly higher on Insanity Tomio as a duo than you. Not that they're my favorite. I think Insanity's still very good.
I think
Tomio,
they're fine.
I've always been a bit of a Tomio hater, but I think they're pretty similar to their Luminosity form is the point that I...
But hang on, you were defending him after he got, like, insta-benched from Shopify.
Yeah, that's because
like,
I think Shopify GMing is trash. It's not... That's because, like, listen, I would have picked a different jungler from the word go, but that was also like 2+ years ago. So that was like 3 splits of Tomio being the same player ago. But I still think, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've never been the highest on him, but I think their form is pretty similar. I still think they're like a top 2 mid jungle duo. It's like them and UG Spyrax.
Yeah.
But I agree with the points on the other players for sure. All right, let's get on to the big boy. Let's get on to let's talk about Citadel / Ole Miss, and let's talk about roster changes, and let's talk about role swaps, and let's talk about what you owe the NACL as a player and a coach and an organization and a partner organization that is not directly in the NACL. So let's
recap this drama because it's been a little bit.
I'm going to do my best, and Slayer, you can help me along the way, and Quax, you can help me along the way as well. So I think ground zero for this drama is Cubby makes a tweet kind of condemning...
put it up on the screen and post or something.
Maybe I'll do this. I'm probably not going to do this. I'm not going to lie. I got a lot to do tomorrow. You guys can look it up yourselves. We're the best you got now. There's no more salty run back putting up nice graphics for you. We're the best you got. I have notes here somewhere. Let me find it just so I don't completely botch this. But that said, I think ground zero for this is Cubby makes a tweet kind of condemning the decision to move Asila to top lane for Citadel's games in like week 4, was it? Maybe week...
Let me see.
Yeah, when is the Asila top series? The first Asila top series.
I believe the first Asila top series, yes, was week 4, because I remember we were talking about players of the week, and like the top 5 lists that they post, and people were trying to advocate for Decoy because he had like 1,400 damage per minute laned up against Asila, and I was like, okay, this was his debut. So yeah, I think it was week 4 against Dorado. Yes, week 4 against Dorado.
Okay.
No, wait, because they 2-0 Blue Otter the week prior.
Yeah, and then they make the change. That was like part of the criticism.
Okay,
like that they had just 2-0'd
yes.
a like a team that was in the relegation conversation with them, and then they make a change like this before playing another team that's also in the relegation conversation. Like that was part of the criticism. So anyway, so that happens initially, and we can talk about... I want to almost talk about that as its own conversation, because then that spills over into a broader conversation where the Collimer the Citadel/Ole Miss coach, replies to me on Twitter. I don't even remember what my original post was, but with something along the lines of that the orgs have given up on NACL. And Cubby retweets that, wrapping it into the
You're in
Asylum
the fold
swap
now, right?
conversation.
Yep.
And then there is one of the staff of Citadel. I don't remember
Maddie?
exactly who it
think it
was.
was
Also,
Maddie.
I
I
don't
think
even
it
know
was
if I want to
Maddie.
say exactly who it was. But one of the staff of
Oh.
Citadel is then in Cubby's Twitch chat saying that they don't care about NACL. And this leads over to a broader conversation about what Ole Miss owes the NACL and what Citadel owes the NACL and how bad it is to have this going on from a health of the scene consumer confidence angle. I think that's a good summary without getting too deep into any of the weeds. If anybody feels like I've left out an important detail, please let me know.
No, I don't. Up
don't think
until this point
so.
in the timeline, believe you've left out a detail. All this does get funnier like later on when Citadel.
Starts winning.
Well, because that starts winning, but that's after they've made another change. So I guess we
They've
haven't
made
even
multiple
gotten there
changes.
yet.
There have been multiple
Yeah.
iterations of the
Yes.
Citadel roster. So let's start there. Because I think the
let's
initial question that you have to discuss is how bad is it to move Asyla to top lane, really? Because I think there's a whole, the question about do they care about NACL? Are they prioritizing CLAW more? Should they prioritize CLAW more? What do they owe to the NACL? What does it mean to be a competitive player striving for tier 1? All this crap gets added in and stapled to what is really a pretty minor change, in my opinion, of moving Asyla to top lane and trying it out. Because I think I've got a little bit of hindsight. I'll do my spiel. But I got a little bit of hindsight benefit here with me. Don't get me wrong. But I think when you see a move like this, it's like clear that they're trying to solve a problem of similar to what we're talking about in Conviction, right? It's clearly something isn't working for them, and their record shows that it's not working for them. And getting 3-0'd by Winthrop shows it's not working for them over in the collegiate space. So they're trying to move stuff around and find something that works. And Asyla going to top is part of that. And it's like, yes, this is a young player who's moving to off-role. But I feel like the negative impacts of that are a little overstated, in my opinion. Get overstated in this controversy. Like, we can talk about how bad it is to say you don't care about the NACL or imply you don't care about the NACL or to actually in practice not care about the NACL. But I don't think moving Asyla to top lane is like the ultimate manifestation of that like a team that is trying to win would never do this.
Yeah, I would agree that it kind of served as a catalyst for the biggest issue I have with this, which is what you mentioned about the NACL stuff. Yeah, I mean, from everything like I heard, you know, it sounded like to me that when they tried it, like everybody was on the same page, that like Asyla was obviously good with running this, goes and plays top. That's fine. It sounded like to me like it got to the point where like they needed to make a change. Like that is all in good. I get that. I'm not on the inside. If everybody was on board, sure, they gave it their try. Do I think it was super detrimental to like Asyla's, or do I think it was not super? Do I think it was somewhat detrimental to Asyla's outlook as a player, maybe on like his career? Yeah, to go get turbo blasted top lane in your first tier 2 like top lane reps ever, getting weak side picked and just getting destroyed. That probably wasn't great. But if you did it for the team, I get it. Yeah, I guess, Gordo, I do agree with you that, like, now with everything out in front of us, the change in itself isn't actually the thing I have much of a problem with.
Agree.
Like, it's what it spawned, and what reactions that I have a problem with it has garnered from.
I'm with you on that as well.
Citadel. from Citadel and Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which I will go on a tirade about if
Sure.
if
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
when we
Let's
need
get
to,
it.
But this
Look,
is the
I mean,
first
let's
part.
just
Yeah.
screw it. I mean, let's just get into that then. I mean, you can talk about what this Ole Miss roster was clearly built to be, and like I like the idea of moving Stray and Bradley back to positions where they have achieved the highest level of competitive success, right? Stray attended MSI as a support in LLA when that was its own region. Bradley was very good on Team Liquid Academy as a top laner, even though that's not necessarily his home role. But a couple of it seems that at least over time, it is the best iteration of this roster. Definitely seems to be the one where Bradley's playing mid, Stray is back playing top, and Keel support is serviceable. Like it is manageable, and that seems to be a better version of this roster than the version that they originally had. And I think they were moving around bits and bobs, pieces here and there to see like. I don't think it's like it's inherently obvious that like a role swapped Keel is like better for your team than a role swapped Asila or whatever. Like I don't think it's not like one of these is throwing someone to the wolves and one of these is a completely reasonable move. I think both are closer to the center of that spectrum.
Yeah.
And same with bringing any of these players into roles that they have not been practicing, right? It's not like Bradley has been playing mid all season.
Shout out to
like
Dion
Stray
Ray
has
for
been
the
playing
Yumi.
top all season.
Being thrown into the support role unprompted.
Oh my god. That's a whole other thing. I had forgot about that. I guess we'll get to that.
Dude, that shit was so funny. I fucking.
All right, so
Yeah.
let's talk about the comments made by individuals and what it means to care about the NACL and how much they should care about the NACL. First, on the narrative of prioritizing CLOL, which was boosted somewhat by Ole Miss folks. Like I think Warhood said something about this.
Yeah, Warhood. Yeah, he got.
Yeah, folks
went
definitely
at
talking about
for it.
prioritizing CLOL more, which I think like somewhat makes like I think that's also pretty defensible.
Yes.
Primarily because like obviously this is how Ole Miss as an organization like continues to exist. Like they care more about their collegiate results than their results in the NACL, even though the NACL is the more prestigious tournament. But also what I think has gone under discussed is like the fact that they don't own this spot and that they've done this song and dance before, that like even if they know they're not going to win NACL. Like I don't think they should have any ideas that they are going to, and they don't have a lot of incentive to defend the slot either, because they are more than likely going to be replaced next split, even if they do defend the slot. Like, I don't think Citadel is going to run the Ole Miss lineup in summer if they are still here. I think this is going to be like Supernova 2025, where they are keeping the seats warm for the money to be spent in a push for an LCS spot.
Yeah.
The way you phrase that is pretty on the nose, but yeah, I mean, I guess.
Unless the only other reality I see is that like Citadel, which I'm inclined to believe more given how Citadel have talked about the NACL, that they're like trying to get out, and they're like trying to set this up as like when the year comes back round, they can give this spot to Ole Miss at the university. But yeah, I don't know. That's
yeah,
kind of,
I guess it depends on if they truly do want. I mean, if they wanted to give it to Ole Miss, they could give it to Ole Miss now. Like they could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if there's like a contract thing maybe that like
it
or
could
something
be.
that's keeping them not allowed to. But I just can't help but think that way now that like the org has like dug this hole. I guess I'm kind of pushing us forward.
Yeah. No, so
because I do agree that like with the premise, I don't like to hear it because I do think NACL is like a more valuable league, obviously. But I completely understand saying, all right, we want to get stage game reps with this lineup before we try and go compete for CLOL Nationals. Like, all right, yeah, that's fine. You're at university, like that's CLOL for you.
No,
that's fine. The problem to me is that wasn't necessarily the counter argument, or like that wasn't the most publicized counter argument. The most publicized counter argument is the head coach saying, under your tweet, Gordo, we don't give a shit about NACL because it was staff members talking to Cubby saying we don't give a shit about NACL. Like, that's the problem. Listen, guys, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like NACL is this like flourishing, awesome place right now, right? Like there are problems. There are clear problems that we've stated several episodes over and over and over again, several seasons over and over and over again, and it has been getting worse. But like, that does not mean that if you are a competitor in the NACL holding a valuable spot that we know from a player standpoint, there are still many players that are dreaming to play NACL, to get reps in NACL. I'm talking about this from a player's focus. And that's what this league should be about. Number one overall is player development. I don't care about winning split and guest slots. It should, at its core, this should be about player development. You saying we're going to use NACL as scrims and we don't care. You saying as a part of the org saying we're in NACL, but God, we don't give a shit about that. What the fuck does that say to everyone else? Yeah. Like, that's just a very terrible sort of precedent to be setting here. Like, you can have all the outside noise. Like, if you're an outsider of the NACL, you can bash the shit out of it. And it has some valid reasons to be called out for. But if you are playing in the split actively and then actively saying we are degrading the product because we don't think it matters, that's we can't be doing that. And that's the main issue that Cubby took. I am fully behind Cubby, calling that shit out.
I agree.
And that's the thing that gets me mad. I don't care about, you prepping. You want to prep for CLO. That makes sense. If you had to make this switch because you needed to do something different internally that I don't know about, that's fine. But you cannot, as a coach of an NACL team, as staff members of an NACL org, in my opinion, come out and say, it doesn't matter, bro. We don't give a shit. You have to be the people giving a shit. We're running out of people that give a shit. You need to be the people that give a shit, or you need to get the fuck out.
Yeah. I will say, I think it is worth addressing. The quote from Colomer under my tweet is, everyone has unfortunately given up on Tier 2, including Riot, the TO, and the teams themselves. Which obviously would include Citadel, right? So I think extrapolating these conclusions from that tweet is not unreasonable. I will say I don't personally believe it was intended to be Colomer as coach saying we don't care about the NACL. I do think subsequent comments made like in Cubby's chat by members of the Citadel org and stuff are in that category. Yes. And I do continue to I do hold that accountable. There is a layer in this and a little bit of a line to be walked that's like just pissing in the wind and not giving a shit about NACL on one side, and is like criticizing the fact that Spring Split does not matter, which has been a criticism we have made of the NACL format for 2 years now. That as long as you're not getting relegated, who really, like, the prize pool is not substantial, the actual path to get promoted is not great, and like the financial incentive to play in this league is still allegedly that you can compete for a promotion slot, and that does not, Spring has basically no bearing on that. This new pick your group format, I'm sorry, like half these rosters are going to be totally different next split anyway. It's not enough. It's not enough to push people to, and that has like, that has spillover effects, right? That leads to, I still say, like, I don't think Citadel is going to run this roster in summer. So it leads to stuff like less competitive teams being fielded as well. So like there's a level of criticizing the format and criticizing Riot for how we've gotten to this point tied up in that. But I do, especially from the stuff coming out of the Citadel staff directly, of we don't care about the NACL, there's spillover really negative impacts there that we can get into that I take a special issue with.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and like to Slayer's point about like we're running out of people that really give a shit, it is refreshing to see some people who are like aggressively giving a shit about this, right? Like angrily passionate about the league and like what it represents in the development pipeline that it is supposed to play into the greater scheme of just North American League of Legends and like still criticizing Riot, but doing so out of a place of, I feel, mostly passion and mostly love. Like there are a lot of people, especially staff members from other NACL organizations like that exist. So I think that it's even more obvious to be able to tell the line that the Citadel staff are kind of crossing over, because we know what happens when like people are still passionate about the space, still caring. They're just really tired, which is understandable given everything that's been going on. But they're like angry about being tired, right? So like I think we've seen that from countless people, and like that those are the people that like I really respect, who like still care despite, you know, being knocked down constantly with like situations for them getting potentially worse. This, I feel, just makes it obvious that yeah, they don't care, and like the spillover effects and the general attitude of it is very different from what we're used to, which is what I just mentioned.
I do think like there's a layer of like super like, again, I think if you add the word spring, I think a lot of this criticism is a lot lessened, and a lot of this gets interpreted as format criticism. And a lot of like, I think they find a lot more allies if they just add the word spring to a lot of these statements. And maybe there's like an implied spring in there. I don't know that, but some of them for sure I think do have an implied like spring in there. It's because I mean, I think we all kind of know, you know, Citadel is running the Ole Miss team because for economic reasons. It's not because they think this is the best team they could field. And it's not, and that was true Supernova last year too, right? When they ran basically the same team, the same collegiate partnership. It was in the interest of saving money to make a run in summer. So the fact that the format allows for and incentivizes the league to run this way, I think means this will continue to be an issue. I feel like I'm almost poo-pooing Cubby's argument too much now, so I'm going to loop back around to it. I do think like it's very easy to just like say, you know, there's no money, the rate of young talent is lower than other regions, it's difficult to get opportunities, it's difficult for people to stick with it because there's so few opportunities. You know, the LCS doesn't care about it, they don't pay attention. With all of these things being true and being criticisms, like who cares what like what some staff members say? But I do think like in defense of Cubby's point, like I think there's a consumer confidence angle there, and there's definitely an aspect of like you need to build it for them to come for this to work out ever, like in any conceivable format, right? Like you need to have people giving a shit about the league for its own sake first, and then have that lead towards investment and opportunity coming out of that league. You can't get the investment and the promotion opportunities first and then have people start giving a shit about the league. Like that's just never the direction the funnel's going to go. And even small detractors, I do think, are harmful to that, especially when this is one of like the biggest stories of the NACL this split. Like this is probably
By
broken
far.
containment more than almost anything. Is this storyline of like, oh, it's, you know, the average fan who doesn't pay any attention, if they've heard anything about NACL this split, there's a decent chance that it's like, oh, there's this one team that doesn't care. That's not good.
Yeah.
And this is a criticism we've made around like the North American scene for forever, right? Is like to every GM and every coach and every player and every fan, like you are not immune to propaganda, you are not immune to marketing. Like the general narrative for over a decade being NA sucks, NA has no players, NA has no talent, has affected everyone's brain. It really like even a little tiny bit, even a tiny bit, and that it affects people's decision making. I fully believe that, right? Like you can't, everybody reads Twitter, everybody reads Reddit, everybody watches content and listens to podcasts. You can't steep yourself in the whole NA server sucks ass for a decade and not come out the other side and be looking at two players, one American, one not, and think like a little bit less of the North American guy. I just don't believe that you. If you
Yeah.
say that you can, I
Thank
don't
you,
believe
TSM Reginald. Yeah, I said it. I mean, I'm half joking with that when I say that, but yeah, I mean, like, this has been like a thing with League since forever. Like, general opinions just take hold and like do irreparable damage to the game and to the scene. Like, another example of this is quite literally the oldest joke in the book, where it's like League of Legends quite literally will ruin your life. Like, I have been hearing that shit since elementary school. That joke has broke containment so hard that no one's willing to get into the game, because every time they're like, should I play League? They ask their friend that plays League. Their friend will be like, no, bro, don't do it. It's worse than drugs. It's worse than alcohol. It's worse than like, shut the fuck up. That kind of shit ruins the reputation of the game. And I feel like it's the same with the ecosystem right now, where we're saying North America just sucks and they can't produce talent. That has been proven to not be true. But because the opinion is so loud, everyone only hears that. And so it's just like an amalgamation of shit. And that's like a really broad issue. Like, we could literally sit here for probably multiple hours and talk about that. Like, because those are that's the thing that I feel like is the root cause of like North America's is the fact that imports are so favored, right? Like, but that is such a can of worms, and that is so far strayed from our subject that maybe a bonus episode or something when we get to like a million subscribers.
Go find one of my Gakgos rants on Twitter or on the show somewhere. I feel like that's a lot of the point that I'm talking about.
1 million subscribers, we talk about North America's downfall and what we would do to fix it. Just like full unfiltered.
Nope. Faker himself could respawn in North America. Nobody could ever be impressive enough in a North American tier 3 split to get a spot on a tier 1 roster. Ever. Could never happen. That's all I'm saying.
True. That does leave out some decently important context of where
little bit
was
at
the point of Korean League of Legends back then, and
you know,
that's not
wrong.
Yeah.
However bad you think the NACL is, at least we're not the LDL.
At least we're not the LDL. I mean, LDL has their own little. They have their own. I don't know if it's like Chinese ACL or what it is. There is
they have some tournaments.
There's a thing going on. Yeah, it's weird
but
because the LDL is like basically dead.
I remember I watched like a short from Dom a few days ago, and he was like, the reason why North America is not successful is because our pipeline is terrible. Every other region has like so much more access to like developing new players. Like, you know, EU's got all of these scenes, and then like China's got the LDL. And like, I stopped watching after that point because I was like, you're hilarious, Dom. Like, you are so funny, Mr. Rivera. Because yeah, that shit is dead. Like, that shit is not doing well right now.
No, but they're having their own issues for their own reasons that we don't need to get into on this.
It's a very different landscape over there for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would argue that our that NACL is
we got a little bit of that too, but we got a tiny bit of it. It's just it doesn't quite rate containment as hard. All right.
No.
We have maybe 10 to 20 minutes ish left. Blue Otter is officially relegated. They're going to the promotion tournament.
Yep.
Do we want to talk about Blue Otter a little bit? Might as well. Get that one in there, because I'm going to give you a hint, brother. They're not going to be on the All-Pro teams, so we're not going to talk about them next episode.
Yeah.
Where do you even begin?
I think the first thing to say about Blue Otter, I think it's most important to talk about what I think really set them up to be relegated, which was we're going back to collegiate, guys. The fact that they had to run
got screwed over by Nace.
Well, okay, I've come around to the fact that I don't really think it's Nace's fault as much.
No, it's not fully like on them. Like,
I like the Sneezes argument that there's so much crossover between NACL and high level C-Law at this point that Riot should just say you can't overlap with NACL. You just
that should I mean I agree that should have already been a thing.
And Riot does have that power, because this is the same power that causes tier 2 players to not be able to play in ACL. Like, you can. Yeah, like Riot can decide what tier 2 players are allowed to play in and what they aren't. and like they could just like, I don't know though. Maybe the impact would be that NACE keeps their schedule the same, and now Nariana's just not allowed to play in NACL anymore because Ariana has to prioritize playing for Grandview. Blue Otter is not paying for this guy's visa.
Yes.
Like he needs
Yeah.
his obligation is to Grandview before it's to Blue Otter. So I
Yes.
cannot blame Ariana for playing in the collegiate tournament over the NACL, even though. Even though we just had this whole discussion about how NACL is the higher level competition, you need to prioritize
this is a
CLAW.
different.
Yeah, this is a different
because
ballgame.
this is the guy who's giving you your visa and paying for your room and board. Like this is the organization that is doing that for you.
The only problem that I have with Ariana is the timing. the timing that we informed Blue Otter. Surely this could have
Is that not Ariana's fault? I don't know the full details. Like, is it NACE's fault that they find out this late,
So
or is that This feels like a player thing. This feels like a thing that a player would do.
Yeah. So that I think
I would
think
give it to
I
Ariana.
I saw some argument that like Nace said the date, like the real date of their matchup, like late. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But
Well-
you knew you were going to Naceland. Like you knew these days of the week will have matches. Like, sure, you did not know that your match would be this day or like at this time until maybe
You
pretty
had the
close
time
towards
frame
it.
though.
But you had the ballpark time where you could have. There at least should have been the talk with Blue Otter where he's like, "Hey, I made Naceland. There's a reality where I have to prioritize GVU over Blue Otter. Can we get a sub prepared to like make this happen?" Because the biggest issue that I think a lot of Blue Otter people also took was the fact that because everything happened so close to their match against AMI. By the way, we're talking about week 5 for Blue Otter where they go 0-2 AMI, 0-2 Winthrop, and that basically sets them up for this really tough schedule that eventually now, as of recording, gets them relegated. But like because Ariana tells Bully or someone on Blue Otter staff like 3 hours, like I think it was 9 p.m. the day before Easter. He tells them
You have to
that
let them
can't
know
play.
24 hours ahead of time. And I knew, so I actually did the NACE broadcasting. Like I wasn't a part of the finals, but like I managed to do, like I knew that I was going to be on NACE stuff like a few days beforehand. So like if I think, and like talent usually gets like notified a little bit later than the players obviously do, right? Because we're not like constantly competing for this tournament like a player would be. So I feel like you definitely had knowledge of the time frame as GVU of when you were going to be playing, and it just kind of felt like they weren't proactive enough. Like
Yeah, because I think if like a better world is like Ariana. I think Ariana needed to do a better job telling Blue Otter this could have been a reality because if he does, they can get a proper e-sub or just a sub situation set up so that it's not fucking DeAndre playing support.
Okay, but
Yumi in like one of these games.
Okay, but the DeAndre thing was so fucking funny. Like
so funny.
We see the message where they're like, be very careful about what you show on camera. It looked like DeAndre was drinking a beer, and then they were like, nope, it's apple juice. And I just could not stop laughing. It's fucking apple juice, baby. Die laughing, and then everyone is memeing him just drinking.
That's the best. Unironically, that image of the GOAT DeAndre is the best thing to come out of this split. You cannot tell me there's a better thing to come out of this split.
That shit was
than
so
that,
funny.
Than
It's
that
also
fucking picture.
It's absolutely it's beautiful that the tier list that Miliana made like a year plus ago.
Yeah, the coaches and how they
how
were
good
good
the NACL, how good the coaches would do in NACL. DeAndre's on that graphic in like D tier.
Yeah, and then he logs Yumi and throws back some apple juice.
Wait, where is? I'm gonna go down to the tier list. I actually
Go
want
see
to
if you
see
can
the
find it.
full
I know
tier.
it's like Niles is up at the top. Niles and Pocus are up at the top, obviously.
Yeah.
Like they'll, Mash is probably pretty high up there too. I don't know. I'm just going
Yeah.
out here. I can just. I don't know. I don't have the tier list on hand, but I can.
I think she might have deleted it. I can't see it anymore.
Well, I can reconstruct it from first principles with the current coaches. Give me a second.
You want it?
Pocus is up there. DeAndre is pretty low. I don't know auto boost.
They put Cyan at the bottom.
Yeah, Colomer is down at the
Yeah,
bottom.
Leanne's the bottom.
Cyan is
Leanne's
totally
at
at
the
the bottom. Pocus is up there though. Mash is pretty up there. Where I don't know Bach. I don't know how good Bach actually is at this video game.
Yeah,
Joey's pretty high up. Niles is pretty high up. Tomo is high up. Tails and Bobby. Tails, Bobby, auto boost are question marks for me.
Yeah, and Bach.
And Bach. Yeah, I don't know what Bach's actually.
I'm pretty
ELO
sure I
is.
could.
Nor would I believe him if he told me. I feel like no matter what.
I could
If I
easily
asked
smash
Bach,
and
he would
lane.
give me an answer, and I'd
What
be
the
like, "He's
fuck,
trolling me."
Slayer?
Whatever the answer is.
I'd kill Bach and lane. So I'm putting him low. That's my confidence.
What, you're basing that off
The call out.
vibes, or what is your evidence?
Yeah,
for
just vibes that I can outlane Bach.
All right, Bach, this is Slayer's unofficial challenge
a
to
call
you.
out.
New York City World Grand Finals.
Wait,
Be there, be
I don't even-
square for 1v1ing.
This is why
Well,
we
this is-
need the off-season caster clash with Team Coach back.
true.
We need that
Well,
back.
I mean, the direct quote that I got from Steve Kangas was, "I'm 30, man. I'm too old for this shit." Is what his quote was about running that tournament again. He was hoping somebody else would start it back up.
I
don't
know. I think there was
Maybe
a
it'll
world
happen.
where Salty Runback did it, but it can't always be on them, and I'm not going to volunteer to do it. So,
It's harder than you think. Trust me. It's
yeah.
harder than you think to get all the people together.
Listen, dude. I've been managing. Hardstuck caster low this split, and it's been miserable. So don't.
You had to take over for me. If I had to do it again for another split, I actually would have jumped.
We are gonna
it
have
was-
to. We either have to wait until until my wedding, or somebody else has to do it at least until then, because I can't. I got too much shit going on.
That's a valid. You know what? I think I'll let you get away with. I'm preparing a wedding.
Well,
as
and
an excuse. I
LPL
think
and
it's
ACL and this
Nope,
show.
just the wedding. That's the only
It's
thing.
all
that
these
the
makes sense
things.
about
I have too
everything
much shit
else.
going, and I have a regular job. For those who continue to doubt it, it's true. I do have a
True.
regular job.
Yeah. Getting us back on point here.
Getting us back on point. The Blue Otter's getting relegated for more reasons than the one game they played with DeAndre. We should talk about some of those reasons a little bit too.
Fellas, it's not Sammy Kids League anymore.
It's kind of
that's-
spring
that-
split Blue Otter all over again. I think Rovex
Yeah.
and Samikin have both been on spring split form.
Yes.
Which is why Blue Otter has traditionally done poorly in these splits. I think Ariana has kind of fallen a little short too. The top lane, we talked about how top lane is one of the most competitive roles in the league this split. And it's been tough for Ariana to like find an edge, right? As like this dominant lane specialist. Like he had to play like Sniper, Denethor, Hoarder, Zamudo, K are like not just gonna roll over.
Yeah.
I think when they played Citadel, it was Bradley top, right? Like even that matchup was not really.
I was saying this shit, by the way. I was telling y'all that top lane was stacked as hell this split. Like
Yeah,
every top laner has been playing well.
Yeah, it's like it's a stacked top lane pool, and I feel like it has not worked out very well for Ariana. I think they're, like, that's not to say Ariana's a bad player, but like I feel like this team is constructed with like him and Munchie as the carries, and that is just like not been able to play out for them.
I will say, similar to what I talked about with the conviction point about like, oh, LCS players now in NACL like have different goals than players who are now making their way or, are still in their like inception, I guess. I would definitely put Ariana in that category, even though this isn't his first split of NACL. Like the goal here is to show your strength as a player. And like, even though it's not working out for Blue Water, I still appreciate the fact that we get to see a Rengar game. I still appreciate the Yi game. Like, Munchie is showing his style as a player. obviously there's a lot to work on, and I think Ariana is kind of in a similar boat where we're getting to see what he's good at as a player. We got to see a lot of that with Dorado last split as well, which is a really good time. But like my worry for these guys isn't as high as it is for a team like CNV where you have expectations of them further than just doing well in NACL. Like we said, their goal is to promote. And so I feel like Blue Otter, like what Slayer said, like this is a development roster. Like these two, like this top side of Ariana Monchi, like is meant to be a development, like two development pieces, essentially. So even though it's not working out for them, like I'm not sounding the alarm bells yet on them not being able to perform like at this level. You know what I mean? Because like they're still new to the scene. They're still new to the NACL, and like I think they are showing their traits as players, which is what I'm looking out for.
Yeah, I agree. I think like it's a meme for a reason. Like Blue Otter Summer's real. We'll see like what that looks like. Because first of all, they're going to the relegation tournament. We don't need to bring Sneezes out to have this conversation about promotion tournament. I expect Blue Otter to be back up. I don't think that they will.
I think it's going to be tough for the. And you know, Sneezes has talked about this explicitly, and I doubt it's a problem he's solved because it seems pretty hard to solve. Like the differentiation in trajectory is a real like. I think it's not as bad for spring into summer as it is for summer into the following spring, which is I think why
Right.
they're changing everything. Like they're gonna skip a promotion tournament in between summer and spring, right, or something like that, or they're gonna.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, like to try to.
realigned.
I think the idea is going to be that like winter is going to be a promotion. There's going to be a promotion tournament like in winter for spring or something.
Yeah,
at some point.
So.
In the
Yeah.
future.
I'd have to refresh.
Don't
it,
don't quote me on
different,
this.
you're
I'd have to
right.
refresh myself on it. I remember all I remember is that they're changing it, and it actually made sense to me, despite initial outrage from folks. Either way, it's not going to be as miserable as summer into spring promotion historically, but it is still really tough because you're coming off of like a really bad split for you, and nobody really wants to play with each other anymore often because of how bad the team worked out, and you know, some percentage of you can probably assume you won't be back even if you do win. Like, it's tough. That said, though, I do think I am not seeing any, like, next up, like, crazy prospects at this point in time. Right now, like, the best teams for promotion tournament look like they are probably going to be
Lotus, yeah.
that
Like
we already know
Lotus?
there's a Lotus team that's Geiger, Scherdenfire, Reppy, Shogo mixture. That team is probably an early favorite.
When does the tournament start again? It's pretty
In, like,
quick.
another
Oh
week.
well, don't you worry.
Yeah.
Registration ends in 3 days, and we have like maybe 2 rosters announced.
I mean, there's a bunch of rosters not announced, but I'm sure the rosters exist. I think a lot of people just don't care. To announce.
Yeah, but like
Just
I
wanted
mean,
to stress the
comparable
importance
to
of
like what
3
we
days
had
more.
like even like a year and a half ago, where like I would be like spawn camping my Twitter like and refreshing it perma because everyone is announcing their rosters. I would be like, this team looks really cool, or I'd be retweeting it and being like, this team looks super cool. I'm looking out for this and this. I'm maybe concerned about this.
Well,
like
you could think
every org and their mother was flexing their OQ rosters, and now we don't really
you
have
could
that.
think
Which is a bit of a bummer.
unstreamed double elim bracket format for people not really caring about marketing their OQ teams anymore. Like there's
Yeah, that'll do it.
yeah,
Yep.
it kind of is what it is. The other thing is looking at Conviction Star in the ACL. They're probably the best team there, or one of the best teams there. That team is Cozy, Will, Kachu, Nightstar, Inflame. If that roster or most of that roster competes in OQs, I assume they will also be pretty good and will make promo tournament. I don't think either of those teams are like hands down going to beat Blue Otter or anything, though. I think Blue Otter would be favored against either of those rosters.
Yeah.
So I'm not too
I just
worried.
realized-
Also, Fisher College presumably won't be competing because most of their players are going to be back in their home countries, and Brazil is not allowed to compete. So I don't think they're going to be able to sneak in there again. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if if nobody gets cycled out this upcoming promo relegation tournament at this point, knowing like none of the rosters and having not seen
Yeah,
any of them.
we don't having the extremely limited information that we do. I would agree with you. I think that, and I would be really mad if Blue actually got relegated. Like this
It would
is an
suck. I'd be
org
so
that
depressed.
It would suck,
Yeah.
but I would be like, I mean, guys,
beyond like the
listen,
fun
now you are in
deep
the
runs that they've
mindset
made.
of me 10 years ago as
Yeah.
like, I mean, like there are boons to franchising that aren't to the big money hungry CEOs, right? Like there are boons to franchising that are like good orgs do have bad splits, and it sucks to see them get relegated for that. Like,
Yeah.
and by the way, this is like, I'm not gonna pretend like I'm a soccer expert or anything, as evidenced by the fact that I call it soccer, but this is like a problem in European football as well. Like with their relegation system, is like these orgs relegate and entirely implode, and like tons of people lose their jobs, and it's a financial disaster. Like this stuff happens, and sometimes it happens to an org that you wish it wouldn't happen to, but it does. I flash back to Millennium in the original EU LCS, which was a good team operating pretty normally with a fun roster, and Kraton like broke his wrist and they got relegated immediately. Like bad shit happens and you lose teams that you like. That's the trade-off with having a relegation system that I do actually like for NACL.
I just hate that it's directly negatively impacting our show now. We can't have sneezes on for promotion tournament talk.
True.
Bro.
But now we could go back. Remember, we used to have Grapes and Hawk on. Now maybe they'll really do it. Actually, Grapes won't, but maybe Hawk will.
Yeah, maybe Hawk will. We'll have to find somebody else for that slot too. Maybe we could. I guess we could go for the Bach angle.
Yeah,
there,
yeah. I bet Bach could do it.
Bach is not in relegation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But he's going to
knows?
have playoffs. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, that's for another day. Let's to kind of wrap things up, gentlemen. I would say maybe each of us give a blurb on a team that they found surprising, a player they found surprising. Just kind of divvy up housekeeping. I also think it's a good way to kind of tease the fact that we will be trying to do an episode next week.
Yeah.
Well, we're really gonna try to do one next week because that will be our award show one. So do you guys have so you could tease that by like hyping up a player or necessarily like team that surprised you? I guess I'll just go first, kind of kick things off.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take the obvious route here. I'm not going to talk about CCG, who I will say are locked playoffs now. They are a playoff team after today. So we'll talk about them then. I think that Dorado Gaming's roster has gotten a lot better than I expected them to towards the end of this split.
Yeah.
And the way things are situated, they play twice next week against Conviction and CCG. If they can take one of those series, I'm pretty certain that they'll stay out of relegation. AMI will likely be the other team if they can take one of those series. I'm sure it gets close, but that's my confidence. I have been impressed by how this team how resilient they've been, and how they've really worked as a cohesive unit. They've played a lot of game threes. They've taken games off of, NRG for one name, or your top seed. They've taken games off them. They've gone to a lot of game threes. And I've particularly been impressed with Mr. Redemption. I think he's played very well. I think he should be a support that stays in the NACL if roster switches come for Dorado, or if they get relegated, something happens. And the thing I'd like to praise most about him is I've heard and seen a lot of his work ethic. This guy's kind of crazy in the aspect that he consumes League all the time, and he's sending clips of level 3 roam timers from LCP supports that are new tech, and he's sending them to his coaching staff with timestamps being this is something that I want to try. And that level of dedication,
I love
that's
that.
awesome, man. That's awesome to see. So Redemption and Dorado, I think, have been a pretty fun story for a team that we expected to be relegated. And they've even really improved a lot as a unit going into the second half of this split. So I'm happy with how Dorado's performed. Even if they somehow end up in the relegation tournament, I think this has been a successful split for these 5 players in particular.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
I wanted to
think
talk about redemption, and you stole that from me, but that's
Oh,
okay.
my bad.
No, that's okay. Because I'm going to balloon it into a broader point. I think this has been a damn good split for rookies. Like, we were talking Doomer about, like, people were getting upset about the low volume of rookies, and we kind of debunked that a little bit in our rundown of all the rosters at the beginning of the season. And, you know, we're on the final stretch here. And I honestly, like, I thought I had a lock in on my rookie of the split, but then I kind of took a step back and really thought about it.
yeah, I would have to
And
think
now
about
I'm
it a little
actually
bit more
not
now.
sure because it has
Well,
been like, we have had insane debut splits from, I think Fiji's been great. I think Redemption's
Yeah.
been great. I think Obstinatus has been great. I
well,
think
hold on.
Papa, hang on, we'll go back to you in a second.
Well, yeah,
I think
yeah, okay,
Papa
yeah,
has exceeded expectations. I think Cero's been really good. I think Munchie's been solid. Like, I don't think Munchie is like the problem with Blue Otter. You know, like
Yeah.
they
No,
have
I don't
more
think
going on than like Munchie doesn't know what he's doing. And like, you know, I think we're a couple of things different. I think he would be in a better spot. Go ahead. What do you want to challenge me with, Slayer?
So we've been talking a bit about like I feel there's been talks a lot about like the rookie of the year and Obstinatus. And I've come to the conclusion that he is not a rookie in my standards.
What is your standard for
because
that?
What is your standard?
Because
For
I
that?
have one.
Played tier 2 level competition anywhere else. You are not a rookie in NACL. He's played LFL and EMEA Masters. He's played basically every
has he
single.
played EMEA Masters? Because that's
Yes,
the
he
difference
has.
for me. When?
He has. I think I was hearing Cubby and Beatdown talk about this earlier.
Okay.
They said that he qualified for EMEA Masters out of the LFL at one point. He's
Okay.
also, if you expand his whatever Leaguepedia page, if you expand it, he's played like in every tier 2 league.
He's been around. Yeah.
So the consensus, at least from some of the other NACL talent guys, and I kind of agree with, is that we are not going to likely consider Obstinatus a rookie for
Okay.
like rookie of the
I
split
think.
voting.
Well, I mean, you can have whatever standard you want.
That's true.
If
you
you,
can have
I
whatever
am not
standard you want.
seeing. My standard has always been, did they qualify for EMEA Masters or not? Because there are so many ERLs with so many teams, like. The idea that NA has 10 teams in tier 2 and Korea has 10 teams in tier 2 and China has fucking 5 teams in tier 2 now because they don't have the regular, and even when they had 12 teams in the LDL, it was still, you know, that would be 12 teams. The fact that like the best region in the world has 10 tier 2 teams and Europe has like 90 is just fucking unacceptable. Like, I refuse to believe that. So the tier 2 cutoff has to be different for EU, and I have always considered it, do you qualify for EU Masters or not? The only EU Masters I see looking at the wiki for Obstinatus' tournament results is he lost a last chance qualifier for EU Masters in 2024. That's all I can find. So that's what the difference is to me. And that is why I counted him as a rookie in preseason.
Yeah, I guess.
But I could be missing something too.
I am probably gonna be in the same camp with Slayer, where I'm probably not gonna. Now, just because we don't consider him a rookie doesn't mean we can't easily consider him to be like one of the All Pros. Because I think the way he's playing,
he's got that locked down.
Yeah, he's got that shit locked down for sure.
It's gonna be him, Spica, and then honestly picking a third person is gonna be hard in some order.
Right.
Yeah.
So Gordo, so you got your.
That's my take. My summary to close out the episode is like,
yeah,
I think it's been a great split for rookies. Even if you want to discount Obstinatus, I think Fiji, Redemption, Cero, Munchie have all, even Papa, have all been pretty good.
So my pick actually for like things that have really surprised me or like is a player. And that player is Fimony. I think that when people were looking at this NRG roster, a lot of people were sold on basically every single one of these players. Fimony was a big concern for some people, though. I think that him and Sushi were like the main concern. Spiegel was more of like a question mark rather than a concern because no one really had anything to base it off of because this is a role swap, and we've seen well, not countless, but a good amount of successful NACL role swaps to support in the past, like Manui, I think probably being the most prevalent example of that.
Dardoch
But like, yeah, Dardoch too. But like in a scene where mid lane is traditionally considered to be one of North America's weakest roles, which I agree with, it's really fun to see Phi Mini whoop some ass. Like, I think he has been a really star standout for this team. Like, all the credit to Zero as well. Like, he's been doing super duper well. Both energy mid laners have been performing really nicely. But I think whenever Phi Mini plays, like, I am routinely impressed with this guy, especially considering where he was last year. Like, I think we on the Salt Mine criticized him on AMI kind of heavily. And so that growth and that evolution from him now on energy has been super fun to watch. So huge shout out to Phi Mini. I think that his growth has been like insane. Like he has taken a leap in gameplay level. And relative to a role where we don't have a lot of high expectations for the players that populate it, he has, I think, risen the bar pretty substantially.
Yeah, I think it's Spyrax, Insanity, Phi Mini. I don't think there's another argument to be made, mid laner wise.
No, I think those are easily the top three. You could interchange the top three, in my opinion, but if you have anyone else from the NACL in that top three, you're gonna have to defend that take with your life.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would have to be like fourth is probably Shochi, but it's probably a little distant.
Yeah, there's a drop.
There's a drop.
I agree.
There's a drop. Shochi is a lot of fun to watch. Dude, Shochi on the player cams, him and Only 35 are carrying the fucking content this split. People who say the new generation doesn't have any personality are tripping balls. That crowd is real fucking quiet right now. This split has been so funny.
Yeah.
I won't derail us that long, I promise. But my favorite part, to get back to the Citadel drama, because Citadel, after they made their second swap and they had Stray top, Bradley mid, Keel support that Gordo alluded to earlier, and they ended up they 2-0'd somebody with that roster, and then they quote tweeted Cubby's tweet, Old Miss did. And
that was
then,
the dumbest shit, dude. I don't.
They put like the SpongeBob stupid meme, and it was like we
won't win
NACL
NACL or something.
We don't care about NACL.
Anyway.
And it's like, bro,
and then only 35 took it into his own hands to bash them. He printed out the picture black and white, and after they won their whatever series that was for CCG right after it, he holds up the fucking photo and then starts doing a fucking chicken dance in the player cam.
Dude,
that was the best thing I've ever seen.
It's content. Like NACL is actually really fun to watch. I think the players have made more than ever. So like
that's good. That's what we need.
That's what we want. Like I love it. This is amazing.
All right.
Yeah, last thing I'll say about Only 35 is most improved player. I'll tell you guys now. I'm not gonna make him my pick, but he should be
he's
in
on my short
the
list
conversation.
For
sure. He's in the conversation. I mean, shower meta too. Like, we gotta. Yeah.
Didn't Shochi start shower meta before Only 35?
Shochi
started accidentally. Yeah. Well, he not accidentally.
Yeah, Shochi started shower meta, and then
Shochi was the first person to post a video of himself in the shower. He was fighting with a guy in solo queue.
Yeah. Shochi took a video of himself in the shower talking about something, and then Only 35 said, "I like this. I'm gonna try and make the post series win
guy.
shower."
And
meta.
then Henrique did it.
I love it.
Yo, Leo, when is it your turn, bro?
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe if Hearthstone Castle won a playoff series, I'll do it.
Yeah, if we win a playoff series, we gotta all make shower videos. That's.
I will do it if we win a playoff
all right,
series.
That's a commitment. That's the Hearthstone Castle.
We currently
don't even know if we're gonna play it at the time of recording, but.
We'll make playoff summer for sure. I guarantee it. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself.
All right, we're late as fuck to this LPL meeting, so let's call it there.
We are.
Thank you everybody for tuning in. We're gonna be back much shorter of a break this time because we're gonna do all-star teams and split awards before the playoffs start.
Yes,
I'm committed to that right now. We'll find a time to do it. In the meantime, enjoy the last weeks of the NACL, and we'll see you next time. Go ahead, Slayer. You got something else?
Oh, I was just gonna say my last NACL broadcast of the regular split is a week from day of recording, May 14th.
Check
So,
it out.
Cool. It'll be the
I'll be
penultimate
on there.
day of the split then, yes?
Yes, it will be.
Excellent, excellent. Well, actually, wait. The last week is only 2 days. Is it Thursday, Friday, or Wednesday, Thursday? It's Thursday, Friday. So it'll be the penultimate day.
Yes.
All right. Tune into that one. Tune into LPL English. Tune into CB Law English for TDS. And we will see you all next time.